Hey, good morning, class. This is Miss Bryant, and we are going to start the day with our science experiment. So I hope you guys are excited. We've worked really hard towards getting this point in our class, actually conducting our own science experiment. I'm super excited, and I hope you guys are too. So let's start off with what is a science experiment? Let's start with personal background knowledge, an experiment or an experience. Has anyone done a science experiment at home? Think about that to yourself and think about a time or a place that maybe you've done something regarding science and you thought of it as an experiment. Um, Whether you thought, you were seeing if something grew in nature, or maybe it was baking something. What do you consider a science experiment to be? Maybe it's not what we will learn to be a science experiment now, but maybe prior to this, you thought it was a science experiment, which was great because you were still learning things. But now we're going to do a formal science experiment. So our classroom science experiment is going to be conducted at our homes, but we're going to do it as a group together, and it's going to be the same science experiment across all of our homes. So I want you to first, if you had the option, I want you to first think about if you were able to choose your own science experiment. I want you to be able to think about what you would choose. So if you had the option to choose your own science experiment, what would you choose? And this is where you need to be creative with your ideas. So think about how things work in the environment and nature. And if you're wondering how those things work and why they work that way, that's a great start for maybe thinking of a science project or a science experiment. So that's kind of a great way to get started on ideas for a science project. So for our science project that we're going to be doing in our class, I want you to think about plants. So the science project that we're doing is going to be about plants and how plants grow. Uh, Regarding how plants grow, we're going to think about what helps nurture these plants and helps them, I guess, helps feed the plants and allows for the right nutrition. And we're going to discover that through whether feeding them milk will help or feeding them water will help. So in order to conduct a proper science experiment, we have to follow the scientific method. These include 4 steps, and they're always to come up with a question for our science experiment. What question are we trying to answer? The hypothesis, conduct the experiment, and write our conclusion. This little link down here is a YouTube video from a super fun website called Brain Pop that I absolutely love. It's about a girl and her robot friend, and she decides to do an experiment on what we are doing. She does an experiment on whether some plants that she decides to do, in particular marigolds, are going to grow better if she waters them using milk or if she waters them using water. Um, so we're going to see in the video which one she does and how she conducts the experiment. She will first come up with a question. She'll come up with a hypothesis. She will conduct her experiment. She'll do observations, and then she will ultimately write the conclusion of what happened in her experiment. So I would suggest, if you don't want to watch the whole video, start from minute 230 to about minute 550. So when we start our science experiment, like stated before, we always want to start with the question first. What is the question we're trying to answer with our science experiment? And the question always wants to be stated with a yes or no question, or with a yes or no answer. So we're only asking a question that can be answered yes or no. For instance, with our science experiment, do our marigolds, are they going to grow better with milk or water? Yes or no? So we're going to find that out. That's our first question to our science experiment. Then we come up with what is our hypothesis. Now, this is a big vocabulary word that's going to come up a lot. So I want you to remember what a hypothesis is. And a hypothesis is something that you're going to make, it's almost like an educated guess. So it's an educated guess on what you think will happen in your science experiment. And a really good tip for making a hypothesis is to include, if this will happen, then this will happen. And if you always include that type of wording, then you know you're doing the correct kind of hypothesis. So again, to make a hypothesis, we need to think about what we think will happen based on background knowledge of what we already know, so previous knowledge. So do I think marigolds are going to grow faster with milk or water? And in the video, I think our friend is Annie with her robot friend. She says, well, babies grow faster with milk, so why wouldn't flowers, marigolds, grow faster with milk? It makes sense that flowers would grow faster with milk, right? So she says that her hypothesis would be, if we give marigold flowers milk, then they will grow better without water. So that's her hypothesis. Always remember, if, then. Our experiment will test what we plan to do independently to answer our question for our science experiment. So this is when we conduct our science experiment. This is when it becomes really important to be organized and to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row. So we need to remember that for this particular experiment and for a lot of other science experiments, our results are not going to happen overnight. We need to be planned and organized, and we need to make specific details with our experiments in order to know how long our experiments are going to take. So these plants, we're not going to see whether milk or water made them grow quicker overnight. So it's going to take a while. We're probably going to need about 2 weeks. And we're going to have to remember that both of these plants need to be treated the same, but they're only treated, one is treated with water and one is treated with milk. So if they're both receiving 1/4 a cup of water a day, or if they're both receiving 1/4 a cup of liquid a day, one plant receives 1/4 a cup of milk, the other plant receives 1/4 a cup of water. If they're both receiving sunlight, they both receive 2 hours of sunlight a day. Okay, it has to be equal. They have to have equal fairness for each other. This is when you have to record your detail, okay? You must observe, measure, and record your data and results every single day, okay? Detail, detail, detail. This includes photos and illustrations of what you're observing throughout your day. And you also need to make sure that you're observing your data and your results at the same time every single day. Then you come up with your conclusion, right? So what happened to our plants? What did we learn from our experiment? Did the plant with the milk grow taller than the plant with the water? Did the milk help? And then we go, well, let's go back to our hypothesis. We stated that if the plant was given milk, then it would grow faster than the plant with water. Was that true? And I think we're going to find out. It's probably not true. Okay, by the end of this science experiment, you'll find out that I don't think milk helps plants grow faster. So we're going to find out if our hypothesis was correct or incorrect. What if you still want to know more? What if you still want to know more? You can always do more research to see why the outcome was the way it was. Why didn't plants grow better with milk? Well, maybe you can look at your local library and see why plants don't react to milk the same way that people do. And if you want to enter a science fair, you can create your own poster board that shows all of the scientific methods you used for your experiment, and you can enter it into a contest. That's super fun. I've done that before. Now I want you to take a pop quiz. It's two very short questions, but it's fun and it's interactive, and you get to see how your classmates score too. It's all anonymous though. So go to www.menti.com and use this particular code. It can't be any other code. It has to be this 38755529. Okay, you have 48 hours to take this quiz, and then you can't take it anymore. So please take this quiz within 48 hours. Okay, I hope you enjoyed our presentation, and I look forward to hearing all about the science projects. Talk to you guys later. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.